Well, the clock is ticking for Minnesota to comply with federal guidelines barring transgender athletes from women and girls sports or lose funding. The state has said it'll resist the push from the White House, but tonight some districts across Minnesota are calling on the state to comply. Carla Holt has the latest.
Well, that's right, Kent. The state has until this Friday to change their participation policy regarding transgender athletes or risk losing federal funding. At the heart of the debate, according to both sides, is both the law and student safety.
A heated debate today taking the form of a flurry of legal letters.
When you look at that letter, it's 61 pages of violations of how we're violating federal law.
As a director of the Prior Lake Savage Area School Board, Lisa Atkinson says last week's letter from the U.S. Department of Education lays out how Minnesota has violated Title IX when it comes to transgender students participating in sports.
Bathrooms is one issue, but then it goes so much further. It's so much further. It's locker rooms, it's sports, it's, again, how do we protect all children? Because our policies right now don't.
At issue, Atkinson says, both student safety and the law. It's why she and other school board members from around the state started their own website and drafted a letter calling for state leaders to change policy. The move follows a similar decision in Forest Lake, where the board also voted to send state leaders a letter calling for change.
If they do not comply, we are at risk of losing, like I said, almost $1 billion worth of funding to our local school districts.
But even with federal funding on the line, Jess Braverman, legal director at Gender Justice, says the federal government does not have the law on its side.
The law is what it is. It does not require trans exclusion. If anything, it requires inclusion.
As for letters claiming student safety is at risk, Braverman agrees, but for a decidedly different reason.
There's nothing safe about discriminating against a group of vulnerable students. It actually makes all kids less safe because then every kid has to worry, am I next? Is this scrutiny going to come down on my body?
I also talked with the chair of the Forest Lake School Board today, who said his board's efforts are intended to, quote, protect the well-being of all of our students. And a spokesperson with the State Department of Education told me today they are reviewing the letter and leaders remain, quote, committed to ensuring every child has the opportunity to thrive in a safe and supportive school community. I also did ask the State Department of Education, Kent, a little bit about how much money is at risk in terms of what's coming from the federal government. They have not gotten back to me on that specific dollar amount, but you heard there from Lisa Atkinson that she believes it's well above $1 billion for all of the state schools.
So we know there's this Friday deadline, but do we know what happens beyond that in terms of, I'm guessing there'll be a legal battle here, right?
No doubt, no question. And there are several cases I'm told are already in front of different courts. Eventually, I am told specifically from Gender Justice, this is expected to arrive in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. So they ultimately will be deciding on this case of transgender athletes in schools throughout the country.
All right. Thanks, Carla.
You bet.